Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Okay, Hawaii Boss team, this is David Pettijohn, part of the Hawaii Boss podcast crew out here today, keeping it as real as we can. We had to put in a few extra hours this week. Sometimes we have to put in that OT to get what we need done. We had to delay the release one day of our podcast to ensure we had this one right, because this segment of the Hawaii Boss, today's episode, is going to be a little different. We've been so busy interviewing some of the most amazing Hawaii bosses and leaders over the past several weeks and months. Wanted to talk about the experience and reset as we continue to hustle and push on through the waning throes of this pandemic. We want to get Hawaii moving again. We're all still on high alert, vaccine and mask update to follow along. But first, just a quick review of what we've been doing with these folks. We've interviewed 6 super duper Hawaii bosses, and through the advent of modern technology, we've zoomed right into their offices. My goal and our team's goal has been to help these folks, each in their own right, a strong Hawaii-based leader. We're trying to help them put the complex puzzle together that is the post-pandemic Hawaii. We've now traveled to Kauai, and we've met Jim Brayman, the CEO of the Westin Resort at Princeville. When we spoke with him, he was just a vision of the consummate professional. He taught me that being a professional host, which he described what his job was as the general manager of the resort, as a professional host, he told me that it's a lot more about listening than talking. Listen first, cooler heads always prevail, especially after a nice night in one of their great hotel rooms.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing sometimes, but it's the best advice is
right.
You can't take it personally, and you got to let it roll off your back, but you can't appear that you don't care, but you need to just let it go as soon as it happens, and just take care of them and put yourself in their shoes. Usually it's some sort of confusion, something that is they didn't read perhaps, or maybe we made a mistake. Don't assume that they're wrong and that the problem is caused by a problem with them. It could be us making a mistake, and the worst thing you can do is try and stand your ground and find out, it is our fault, right? And that's and you never win, right? You never ever win an argument with a guest, and so what you want to do is just take care of them, make it right, apologize, own it, and hopefully move them on to the next level and start having fun.
Also, while in Kauai, we had this great opportunity to meet Miss Monica Bells, affectionately known as Boss Lady, and more officially known as CEO of Kauai, the Kauai Government Employees Federal Credit Union. I'm still seeing her work as recently as this week. KGEFCU has been rolling out rent and utility assistance, with new applications being accepted next week. You go to KauaiRentHelp.com and get with Kauai Hui over there, and they can help you get things in order as this pandemic continues to strain some of the finances and some of the folks across the state.
Yeah, we actually do a lot of work with JA, Junior Achievement, and teaching entrepreneurship. That's my favorite class to teach youth, because you can go in and try to teach financial literacy and other content, but when you teach them entrepreneurship and you let them decide what their company is, and they're passionate about it, all of a sudden they're learning financial literacy inadvertently. They don't realize they're learning so much, but they're so excited about their business that they're building, that they've chosen to build, that they learn it all. So I think entrepreneurship is a great topic in school and should be taught everywhere.
Now, right in the middle of all of this madness, during the past couple of months, we've had Miguel Gonzalez, president and founder of Catalyst Public Relations firm. He's been helping businesses throughout Hawaii, to include the Hawaii Boss, working to help businesses reinvent themselves through this pandemic. He is always keeping the results in mind first. You can pay for a lot of ads and print and things like that, but he's thinking about problem solving for his clients, not just trying to sell them more stuff to increase his bottom line. He is really in it for you.
Well, business here in Hawaii, obviously we have the pandemic that's happening here, and we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with this particular pandemic. And you're right, tourism itself, as you know, it's the 800-pound gorilla in this island, in all of our islands. And there was already talk about possibly creating new industry, creating new jobs that are maybe not so related to hospitality, to tourism,
Sure.
to hopefully do away with something like that and not have the entire island be paralyzed for a year, or the great majority of the island, because those jobs, whether you want it or not, there is a connection with the job that we do in hospitality, because it's all trickles down. There is that influx of dollars as well coming in, and we all feel the pinch.
And our recent guest was Rick Ahn. He's the ministry director of the Kroc Center, under the overall umbrella of the Salvation Army. Did you know that the Salvation Army, I just read this last year, 1.15 million meals in 2020 here in Hawaii. And I know the Kroc Center is a little bit different mission than generally what you would think the Salvation Army. But again, the West Side needs a place to cool down and get fit. The Kroc Center is the place to do it. And it really follows along with the mission and vision and values of the Salvation Army. We're glad that we had Rick on our program, and he definitely is a Hawaii boss.
Absolutely, yeah, and you're always in between, right? Even if you're your own boss, you're in between your customers and somebody else. So you're always trying to support, again, your organization's goals, but also the people that you work with and the people that work for you. And I like what you said. I mean, it just reminds me of what servant leadership is about. It's about getting the job done, but again, doing it alongside people, and not not just leading with authority, but leading by caring,
right,
and investing in people. And those are really it's a really different leadership model than the traditional leadership model of just do what I say, not as I do.
Hey, you're outside of your task perimeter here. It looks like you need some correction.
Right.
We also had the great opportunity to spend time with Hilton Raithall. He's the hardworking, if you can remember, he was our first guest on, the hardworking president of the Healthcare Association of Hawaii. He's one of the hardest working bosses I've met. This pandemic has truly revealed his mettle as he worked tirelessly for the very stressed and strained healthcare system that was us in Hawaii at the beginning of this pandemic. He's been a pillar of strength during the entirety of this entire thing, nearly a year and a half since this thing got going. He's up early on Tuesdays, giving Hawaii the most up-to-date information on Hawaii's healthcare situation and doing his best to keeping all of us up to date.
Time, and especially in healthcare, and this may apply to other industries as well, but certainly for healthcare. Healthcare is a very, very different career field. It's very personal, it's very intimate, it's very emotional. There's a lot of dollars involved because it's a huge industry in the United States, but it touches everyone, every single individual at some point or many points in our lives. And I love that. I love the responsibility that comes with being in healthcare.
We had the pleasure of meeting Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. He's been from the beginning of this as a doctor. Lieutenant governors normally aren't doctors, but he had to be in a very special place. The timing all aligned, the stars aligned, and this doctor as lieutenant governor was very, well positioned to be able to assist in moving this forward as a leader, as a boss, as a problem solver. We could see him working closely with state and government agencies, offering Pono as we tried to move forward, trying to, cross a lot of these bridges and build these bridges that maybe we hadn't built yet. All of us have been trying to balance the business needs of the community with the health needs of the community as we move towards more vaccinations. We hope as our population immunity increases, we can begin to see the economy and business open back up. Thank you for your work, Dr. Green.
Do that. So as to safety, we're getting there. There were 136 cases today. The average has been 99 for the last 7 days, but most of the cases are among younger people and in clusters. And so that's a good thing as compared to before when it was our elderly. So when the kupuna were getting sick, it's bad, right? Their mortality rate is so far higher. But we're seeing community spread, because people are letting their guard down just a little bit. I expect those numbers to drop in the next couple of weeks. I have high hopes if people are careful. And meanwhile, we'll keep vaccinating over 80,000 people a week. So we'll get safe there real fast.
Again, a huge thanks to all of you for allowing this little segment we like to call Overtime with the Hawaii Boss. Helps us to review some of the great lessons we've picked up from these great minds. Not only great minds who figured this out on paper, but they are actually flexing their big boss muscles out in the world, raising the standard and raising a guiding, helping voice. Their actions and what they're building are going to help us provide a clearer vision for Hawaii's long-term business future. These folks are on the front row of the action, developing their superpowers, as Monica Bells so eloquently reminds us that each of us have, striving to be our best selves, sharing our talents, and helping others to find their superpower. They believe in what they do, and they're all passionate about it. I believe, even though they wouldn't say it, because they're humble, I have faith in them that their work can change the world for all of us. Not only for the world, but for our Hawaii home. Aloha nui, Hawaii Boss crew. Let's finish strong. Hawaii Boss Overtime out.
Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.